just finished with Trump there.
Yeah, the idea that BRICS countries are trying to move away from the dollar while we stand by and watch is over. We require a commitment from these countries that they will neither create a new BRICS currency nor back any other currency to replace the mighty US dollar, or, look at this, they will face 100% tariffs and should expect to say goodbye to selling into the wonderful US economy. They can go find another sucker. There is no chance that the BRICS will replace the US dollar in international trade, and any country that tries should wave goodbye to America. Now, this is huge because 100% tariff on your product is massive.
Before we start, we need to tell you up front we are not a licensed financial planning, accounting or law firm. This is simply an education program which will give you factual information. We do not give any general or specific advice around finance, business, investing, options trading or anything else. That is not what this presentation does. Please see a licensed financial planner when it comes to any investment advice you need.
It's Edge Radio Australia, and we are very live indeed. Of course, it is time for the Greater Wealth, and we have our maestro of wealth preservation and building. I mean, a bit of both, really.
Preservation, that's a big word for you.
I know. And
I like it. I've never used it that
2024. Well, we talk so much about accumulating wealth, right? But keeping it's really important as well. In fact, so often it's far more important. We see so many people who gain wealth in their life and it disappears.
There's three things. There's making the money, keeping the money, and investing the money.
Okay.
Three different skill sets, three different hats to wear.
I completely understand. As someone who with that middle stage, that middle of keeping the money, divorces. I mean, okay, that's all I can say, right? It smashes you around. Yeah. Hey, we're here for the Greater Wealth, which is, of course, the great collision between politics and money, and obviously the social side of things, the spiritual side of things.
I've just thought of something. It's really funny because I'm the politics guy, and I just don't take anything seriously. And then we've got Derek, who's the finance guy, who takes everything seriously. It's just a great meshing of like opposites.
Oh,
it's good.
Thank God we have Dad. Okay, now, so the old man's about to get into the show. What have we got today?
Oh, right. The Aussie dollar's getting weaker, and that makes your it's hit a 5 year low last week, and it was around about 61.84 cents to the US dollar, which has an interesting effect on our imports as far as Australia is concerned.
It does.
Now the retailers are going. Thankfully, we did some buying before Christmas, and we had all our sales and this sort of stuff.
Yep.
But it does have a flow-on effect for the Australian consumer, particularly if you're one who buys online and you import stuff from overseas.
Which is most of us.
Which I did a lot of this Christmas, I must admit.
Oh, Timo for the win. Sorry, Timu. Sorry, I've been playing League of Legends over the weekend.
No, that's Damo down there.
No. So my character in League of Legends is Timo.
Oh,
sorry.
Okay, all right. But what this comes down to, Aussie dollar crashing, not crashing, probably overstating a little bit, but it's certainly had a decent dip.
Definitely weakened, and there's concerns it could go to 50 cents.
Love my
to the US dollar.
Oh, it could be. Yeah.
When you compare that to the British pound, it's 0.49 British pence.
Really?
So this has a huge effect in terms of Australia's position as an importer. It's great if you're exporting because overseas importers, of course, buying your stuff are more likely to buy more. It's great for the tourism industry because the Americans are going, hey, let's go for a cheap holiday. Hey, look at Australia. See how much we can buy. Look how far a US dollar goes. But it hurts if you're wanting to, one, go overseas, or two, you are an importer for your business and or just buy overseas.
For sure. Yeah, no doubt about it. But you've made a very good point about the fact if people have bought or businesses have bought stock beforehand, it gives them a little bit of a buffer effectively because now with prices are rising, when you're importing these things, this is going to have this will slow, I would tend to think, it was going to slow retail sales down.
Yeah, I mean, thankfully, oil prices have lowered somewhat since they were about 12 months ago.
But strangely, the price of fuel hasn't really lowered. Certainly not at the same rate.
Not at the same rate, but it has lowered. I mean, we're not paying $2 at the Bowser every day, which is good.
Yeah, on Thursdays you are.
Yeah, not every day.
Well, the simple thing is just don't use the normal fuel stations. Yeah. Don't go to BP. Like, why would you do that? Go to Burke. Like, they're stupid cheap out at the moment.
Oh, yeah.
Shop around.
Good 20 cents cheaper than what BP is.
I agree.
Like, it's awesome because they're also like literally like 30 steps away from my house, which is kind of cool.
The big thing on everybody's mind. Sorry.
No,
Yeah,
go on.
just talking about the Aussie dollar going down and making things more expensive coming in, I just hope that has a flow-on effect to the Reserve Bank of Australia and they decide to hold interest rates.
Yeah,
Or
we had a
drop
little
them.
rise before Christmas, didn't we? And the Fed held its ground.
Yep.
So
So
dropped. I think the Fed dropped from memory.
it's kind of interesting because the International Monetary Fund, there's a few things on the politics side of things where I think it's Labor is talking about dropping the 3% buffer on mortgages. So they're actually saying, hey, don't do that. So mortgages in Australia at the moment don't get really, really interesting over the next 3 months if they actually remove that. So it's probably 3 to 6 months, I think, is don't get really interesting.
I want to bring up a question that Damo's brought up. Damo's, g'day, mate. Happy New Year. Great to see you as
I
usual.
even got special new glasses to be able to see the screen.
Can you see the screen?
And then now you get your little one here and you're cheating. And it's like, it's actually, yeah.
I can see. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love it. All right. Okay. Now, great question from Damo. Is the dollar affected because of the US election?
It could be. There's a lot of factors that go into the strength of the Australian dollar, and that is one of those is GPD. That's the big one.
Okay.
How much gross domestic product is your nation actually producing at this time,
Sure.
as well as the perceived strength of that economy. That's really where currency gets its strength or weaknesses from. So when you're looking at pairs, as we are here with the Australian versus the US, one can strengthen while the other weakens, or they both strengthen at the same time, but they're at different parity rates. And that's why you've got these kind of movements going on as far as currency is concerned. So we saw last year when the Japanese yen took a bit of a dive with the US dollar, there was a lot of scare about their interest rates. Well, the markets got spooked when they actually, for the first time in about 17 years, raised interest rates in Japan.
Yeah,
And
17 years. I know, it's crazy.
No, they were like negative interest rates for a long time.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff.
And so what happened was, why it spooked the markets was because a lot of traders will take, hey, this is cheap money, we'll borrow it at that rate, the yen reserve rate, and we'll go invest it in investments that can get us a greater thing. So if you're borrowing, let's say 1%, and you can get a return at 5%, you're taking 4% in between.
Merry Christmas.
Right? And they leverage that as well. So when they said, whoa, we're going to increase our interest rates, and we haven't done this in 17 years, all those who were doing this carry trade were getting spooked by that, because suddenly they're not making the profit margins that they were.
Can you lock in the interest rate when you do it that way or not?
You can use options on foreign exchange, but this is getting very complex when you go down that path.
Let's not do that today. It's too early in the year for that kind of stuff.
Especially if
You've
you're
got to know what you're doing.
Right.
Yeah, especially in that situation if you're using like mortgage bonds, because they generally only get 2 or 3%. So if you're getting out 1%, and you got to remember when they're doing bonds like this, they're not dealing with $100,000-$200,000. They're dealing with millions and millions and millions of dollars. So 4% on $10 million is still a really, really healthy return. So I can see where mortgage bonds would get spooked by Japan's action. And you got to remember in 2018 between US dollar and the Japanese yen, there was $1.3 trillion traded US dollars a day.
Okay.
So you have a look at how big of a market the Japanese yen is. It's actually a really important currency around the world.
Watch Japan. Just watch Japan. I've been saying this to my students: watch Japan. What happens in their economy?
I mean, just to answer Damo's question, and I'll throw my opinion on this, and it's nowhere as learned as yours, Derek. But obviously the change of relationships between different countries after the win from Trump is going to change the economies. It's going to change the negotiations between things, and therefore, I would see that as a flow onto the debate.
Not only that, but you're also getting this whole unique historical experience where you're getting a crypto-friendly president. And this is changing the guard at the SEC in the United States, which is our equivalent's ASIC, Australian Securities Investment Commission. They've got in America SEC, who have been anti-crypto.
Very much so.
And so with his policies too about talking about any American company that produces crypto in this country will be tax-free, changes the ballgame completely in terms of our view of, is it currency, is it investment? Sure. Everything's changing.
So everyone with crypto now becomes a US citizen? Is that how it's going to have to?
It gets better than that. It gets better than that. Sorry.
Because in America, the way their tax system works, they also tax you on money you earn outside of America as well. So effectively, if everyone runs to America to do their crypto trading over there, it's not just the crypto income they're taxing, it's all sources of income, property, real estate, shares they might have, and everything else. So just quickly going back to the dollar losing, and you were saying about the change in the relationship. You got to remember, currently we got Kevin 007 as our US ambassador, who's Trump has openly said is a savage and nasty little human. So
accurately said.
Trump openly has a negative opinion towards Australia in that regard.
Hang on.
Labor's already starting to look at pulling Rudd back and replacing him.
Of course they've got to.
I'd love to see Kim Beazley as the US ambassador again.
Beazley does not like Trump. Well, he confessed that in the election when he was here at UWA. I was listening to the broadcast during the election. He is not a Trump fan at all.
You don't need to be a Trump supporter to be a diplomat.
It does. He said what he said publicly now. A diplomat has to present the opinions of the nation.
Correct.
I think.
I
don't think it's a good
want
move.
this a little fairness here. Okay, the reason why Trump made those statements, and I'm taking the American side on this one, is Kevin Rudd said disgraceful things about Trump. Right?
Not once, not twice,
Not
100 times.
He published comments.
Yeah,
he went the next and put it in writing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
no, Kevin Rudd, honestly, like little Mr. Sheen, I wish someone would just shine him away, because he is just.
I think someone needs to give him a shiner.
Oh, yeah. He's such an embarrassment to this country.
Getting back to my point in terms of crypto, Trump's also said that any crypto companies that move to the US can also have it tax-free, which other nations are looking at going, we're going to get a mass exodus now of crypto companies within our nation. How are we going to compete in this situation? And if we bring up the first slide that I've got here.
Just before we do that one, just one thing I want to actually also add.
Yeah.
So the currency is also determined by how much money the Reserve Bank will allow into the international market. So it'd be really interesting to see if there's been an attempt by the Reserve Bank to try and counter this. So their response is going to be interesting.
Yeah, monetary supply is huge. Back to Damien's question there. It's a really good point.
So anyway, so let's go to boom.
Here's something that Trump said.
Let's make it
back
big
on the
so Derek can
1st
read
of
it.
December 2024. I'll read it for you. The idea that the BRICS countries are trying to move away from the dollar. Okay, let's talk about the BRICS countries, because not everybody knows what the BRICS countries are.
Oh, this is really interesting.
So the BRICS nations formed in 2009, primarily of Brazil, Russia, India, China. And they basically got together to say, yes, they didn't join until 2011, South Africa. So 2009, these nations formed together to try to work out how could we kind of even the playing field against the US and what they're doing in terms of finance. It was amped up. And then, South Africa joined in 2011, I'm sorry. And then they are starting to question, especially after the sanctions that Russia underwent when they invaded Ukraine. They were locked out of the SWIFT banking system. And so now they're going, whoa, the US dollar is being weaponized against us. That was their response. And there's been a lot of conjecture about forming their own bank, forming their own currency, how they can do that, looking at a cryptocurrency to do that, all this kind of discussion.
Sure.
To get out of a situation where they're so reliant in doing oil deals with the US dollar. Now, also what happened last year in July was that Saudi Arabia did not renew the petrodollar deal that it had with the United States. There's pros and cons for that.
I see a lot of pros.
And what they've been playing both sides. Saudi Arabia has joined the BRICS since then, and it's colloquially known as BRICS Plus. But these nations are doing this. Now, Trump has come out and said in terms of these plans to kind of weaken the US dollar.
Let's have a look at this comment, and then we'll speak about Peter's comment down the bottom if we could. So
the idea
just finish with Trump there.
Yeah, the idea that BRICS countries are trying to move away from the dollar while we stand by and watch is over. We require a commitment from these countries that they will neither create a new BRICS currency nor back any other currency to replace the mighty US dollar, or, look at this, they will face 100% tariffs and should expect to say goodbye to selling into the wonderful US economy. They can go find another sucker. There is no chance that the BRICS will replace the US dollar in international trade, and any country that tries should wave goodbye to America. Now, this is huge because 100% tariff on your product is massive. So let's say that you're buying an iPhone, for instance, that's been made in China.
I don't join cults, okay? So no.
Get nicked.
A computer, whatever, right? An IT monitor. Let's say the IT monitor is $500, right, to manufacture and import, and they throw on a tariff, and now it's $1,000.
Yep.
That monitor is less competitive to what perhaps it was before, increasing opportunity for US domestic industry and
Of course.
manufacturing to actually produce one and pay Americans the rates that unions demand for their country. Right.
So just going on the minimum wages and all that sort of stuff like that you brought up there was an interview, I think it was CNBC with Trump. He was there for a good 90 minutes. And this woman was just relentless trying to get him to say, oh, no, every state should increase their minimum wages. And it's like, no, they will go up. But some states you can, to bring everyone up to the same level, you know, $1 or $2 will be enough. Other states you need $15. So it was really, I loved watching that interview because he knew what he wanted to say. He wouldn't allow the interviewer to dictate how he was going to do it, but he was very, very firm on it. And I the more I watch him, personally, I don't like Trump as a person, but as the United States president, I don't have to like him. I just want to know that he's going to do his job. He's there to do a job, and he's kicking goals.
Well, he's all about America and helping Americans rather than benefiting from the position like a lot of other public servants have been perceived.
Let's have a word.
Good old Peter.
Peter's comment here.
Rumour has it from my Liberal source, if Liberals win the federal government election very soon, I'm assuming federal there, they want to send ScoMo as Australian ambassador.
Well,
so
he already has the Hawaiian shirts, so he's ready.
Yeah, and he was at Mar-a-Lago last week, the week before.
Was he really?
Yeah. So that photo that went around with ScoMo with Trump, legit.
Oh, I thought it was an old photo.
No, it was fresh.
Okay.
He was Trump just did a Mar-a-Lago event. I don't know what it was for, but yeah, ScoMo was there.
So the interesting part two of that, though, what Trump's statement was that not only they face 100% tariffs, they should expect to say goodbye to selling into the wonderful US economy. Now that places a big problem because America is a big consumer of a lot of items from China in particular.
You take China out of their economy. Whoa.
Well, the thing is, if you look at everything that China manufactures, places like Vietnam, India, a lot of the Arabic countries, Dubai manufactures as well. A lot of the African countries, they all manufacture the same things, if not cheaper than what China does. Because China's getting expensive these days.
Oh, well, I'm seeing it. Definitely. It's
so
Vietnam certainly has come up in the last 10 years.
And the quality, like a lot of the Samsung products are actually made in, like the components are made in Vietnam. They've got a huge Samsung warehouse just like in the same city that Luan's family is originally from. And then from my understanding is they take all the little components, they send it to China. China puts it together and sends it out. So even China now imports all parts.
You look at the rise rather of South Korea. I mean, come on, right? I mean, their automotive industry is now... I can't believe it, and it upsets me to say it, but I mean, they're pumping out better quality than the Europeans. No question about it.
Yeah, but that's not hard. Come and look at BMWs.
Yeah. Enough said.
Sorry, the wife's got a BMW, so I'm allowed to say it. They suck ass. So,
all right.
European cars are not made for Australian conditions.
Do you want to buy a BMW, Derek?
No, I don't.
No, okay. Just checking.
I don't buy European cars anymore. Been there, done that. But yeah, this is huge in relation to the other nations scrambling and going, well, we don't want to tick them off so much that we can't sell to them anymore and be a customer. What do we do? And so everybody's looking at what this is going to be. Now, everybody's going, oh, the inauguration is going to be a big deal. Look, things are already changing before he's president. The other issue...
See, I'm dead right. Travis is dead right. China is getting more expensive. Damo, I love your work. Ignore these other two who have no idea what they're talking about. It's all about the Buddy Holly glasses, I tell you. So,
what's also interesting is
let's get him on a plane. Anyway. Sorry,
That's all right. So BRICS, we normally think of this as nations that have different ideological views and economic objectives to the United States. Now, within that conglomerate of nations... they've got different objectives as well. I think Russia has a different bent than China does.
Definitely.
And why it's there. Russia has kind of played the whole, we've been forced to do this. What other option do we have? You put sanctions against us, et cetera, et cetera.
I love your Russian accent.
Yeah, thank you. But China, I think, is more in terms of, hey, let's bring down the US dollar. We're more competitive. We want it. We're number 2 in terms of economies in the world. We want that number 1 spot. So you've got to look at each nation and how they're playing that. Also, the nations that are jumping on board with the BRICS Plus kind of concept. Then there's 2 other nations. Those are the ones that are borderline to the United States, being Canada and Mexico.
Right.
And those nations are more friendly to the United States.
Why do we talk about borders? Well, why not?
Exactly. And this is the whole issue of borders. And so the relationship. Let's deal with, what do you want to deal with, Mexico or Canada first? Let's deal with Canada first,
Please.
because Canada has been threatened to have, is it a 20% tariff or a 10% tariff? I can't remember which. Mexico thinks 20.
Before we jump to that, can we just jump back to BRICs, something that we haven't touched yet?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Russia is also a major importer of furniture goods from China.
Right.
So I'm not too worried about the BRICs taking over, because there's already cracks appearing in the BRICs as well, because Russia's just put a 55.7% tariff on China.
Okay.
So there's already internal trade wars going on within BRICS nations as well.
Yeah.
If now, I personally think Trump's just jumped on this because he's seen the writing on the wall. He's an amazing businessman. He's like, you know what, if you're going to get nailed by Russia, which is one of your biggest allies at the moment, you know what, we're going to sink the boots in at the same time. And we can drop a number 2 down to number 3, number 4, number 5.
The best defense is offense.
And I think what Trump's doing is an absolutely amazing thing. And I think this is going to be a massive wake-up call to a lot of people around the world that America's number one export is cash. And that's a really hard thing to counter.
Some commentators are concerned that if they do that, in terms of 100% tariffs, that there will be a gap in the market for certain products and items, and they wonder if that's premature. That Trump hasn't come into
a threat. He's not going to do that.
No, I think he will. I think he will.
No.
And the thing is, I think he's opening up other markets.
Well, and I was going to say that. I think there's already other competitors in other markets that
will fill the gap.
You tell me that so if Ho Chi Minh was still around, you think he wouldn't be in immediate communications with America saying, hey, if China can't make your iPhone chargers, we're there in a second.
Yeah, I agree.
So it won't take much. To Vietnam,
you know why?
3 days.
Because capitalism works. That's why.
It took them 3 days to turn a mobile phone company factory, like a huge factory, to turn into a face mask producing factory.
3 days.
3 days to turn around, start pumping out things.
Okay.
Vietnam is like amazing. Like they need something to do it. They'll just throw more people onto it. Yeah, so Vietnam does a lot of the computer manufacturing for South Korea and all that sort of other countries as well. They're already geared up to make most of the stuff that China's not going to make anymore.
Okay. I'm certainly not going to sit on the fence on this, but in fact,
and yes, I do have connections in Vietnam if people want to know. You
might be slightly biased. Okay, just a little bit. But here's where I'm going. I'm actually, look, I'm very pro, obviously, a free market economy. But at the same time, I've kind of had enough of America for so many years bullying the rest of the world, okay, with using the petrodollar, using the US dollar to control, politics and different leaders and all just
so like England did.
Yeah, exactly right.
And like Spain before that, and the Dutch before that.
And there needs to be a turnover of this. And you're absolutely right. I mean, basically, you're right. It was very much the English until basically
Second World War.
About 1942 is kind of where the big flip was on that one, right? Okay, it's been America ever since. Now, okay, I think that the world needs to have more competition, and I think BRICS gives that competition.
I think what you're dealing with is there's been a regime to destroy America from within.
No doubt,
right?
100%.
And I think the public servants that are there to serve the public have been serving their own agendas for decades, not just in the United States, but also in England and Australia as well. And I think that's the biggest issue. We used to always joke around the barbie, well, we need to sort out the politicians as a businessman. Well, guess what? You got it.
And yet they want to fight that. So
and I think that's what we've got to look at here. This is a different era now because we've got a businessman who is taking over.
I'm sorry. Okay. What you didn't see is
Aaron was trying to control the laptop, but I've got the mouse. So he was using the touchpad, and every time I'd move it, I'd move it the other direction.
Playing tennis on
with children and animals.
So anyway, so just on that, what you're talking about is the reserve currency of the world. I think 20 years from now, I don't think there will be a reserve currency in the world. I think we don't have a global economy. The internet has made the world such a small place now. If I need to order something getting into Australia within a week, I can order something from Russia, chuck it on a plane, and send it to Australia. Yeah, it's not costing me money, but I can do that now. Yeah. See, back in the day, you'd have to send a message to them by boat. They'd make the order, send it over here. 6 months later, you've got your product.
Yeah.
That doesn't exist anymore.
I know. It's very, very different.
So I think we still don't have different states, and every country's don't have their own currency and all that sort of stuff. But the rise of cryptocurrency is out of control. A lot of people they say, "Oh, the Australian currency is protected by the Australian Constitution." No, it's not. If you actually read what the Australian Constitution states, that the federal government can determine what is legal tender in Australia. So if Australia and all these other countries turn around and go, you know what, we're going to a central bank digital currency, we've got no say in it.
Okay. The thing is that the United States has got a president who's coming in who's very crypto friendly.
Correct.
And any
crypto will become cash.
It will become. He wants to be dominant in that. He wants America to be the number one nation as far as crypto is concerned.
Because he's seen the writing on the wall. There's a massive paradigm shift, and crypto will be what effectively now is our cash, our untracked, unmonitored spending. Depends on which one, like how deep you want to go. There are some that aren't tracked, but there are ways to make it the cryptocurrency safe. So obviously you won't use Bitcoin for that because it is a centralized currency, but there are ways you can do it on different crypto markets, different crypto wallets. There are ways to do it. So Derek at bluskyfactory.com.au, BLU skyfactory.com.au does a great course. Luan's done it, and we've made a killing on that actually, just quietly. Luan's told me I'm not allowed.
He just tells the world, I'm not well done.
Well, I want to brag about it, but Luan says we're not allowed to tell people. But I can say it was a 6 times return in about 4 months.
Okay, I'm glad you kept that quiet. Now, great comments coming through again, guys. Really appreciate that. And the comments come up from Damo as well. And I thank Christian for a fantastic comment. I really appreciate that, mate. And look, it's just all over the place, actually. But Trump is interviewing so much better. I agree with him. He needs to look after the USA. 100% agree. That's his job. That's what he was employed to do, to look after the USA, put them number one. As I said before, that is his. Well, that is the entire mandate of what he's actually been, put into power for.
Mandate, hey?
I know. I just had to do it. I just felt
All
it.
right, Bill.
I felt it. What can I say? But at the same time, you need to be a responsible citizen of the world. Right?
Oh, sorry. I thought you were about to say responsible adult.
Why start now? All right. Now, a great comment there as well. More coming through. Can you bring that one up from Peter, please, mate?
From Porter.
From Porter? All right. Okay. What are your thoughts about Solana? Oh, which is a cryptocurrency.
Oh, I thought you were talking about salami. It's like, yeah, it tastes great. So just so people know out there, do not ever take crypto advice from me. I know it's important. I know you got to have it. I know the basics of it, but talk to Derek if you want like good information.
There's a lot of people. The funny thing about cryptocurrencies is you get your fan bases.
You do.
And people love that. Even meme coins that people don't. I haven't looked in Solana a lot.
Okay.
I think it's a big cap company. It's become that, gone from mid cap to big cap.
Please explain that to people who don't know what you're referring to.
Capitalization. So how much investment has actually gone into that versus the price. It's measured. It's a mathematical measurement on the price of the asset versus the availability of the asset in terms of how much Solana there is in the world.
Yeah.
And so that defines what the market capitalization price is. So the bigger the market cap, it's generally assumed it's pretty much had a lot of its growth, as opposed to a coin that has a lower market capitalization.
Yeah, it's got more headroom, I guess.
Yeah. So, I mean, look, we're going into, a lot of people are saying we're going into a bull market as far as the crypto world is concerned. I think it's very important to understand what different coins do. I think a lot of them are going to be wiped out in the next 5 to 10 years as regulation comes in more and more. So you've got to have a strategy in relation to how you're going to play that out.
100%.
So,
I mean, look, when we talk about crypto, and it's obviously our opinions here, there's no financial advice here, but certainly my opinion is, the toothpaste is out of the tube. There is so much there that can be achieved, but okay, not all cryptos are created equal, right? You can't expect
thousands,
of course. And if you went into the stock market, you're not going to get two stocks which are completely different will have very different performances. Same thing with crypto.
So what I do, I can speak for what I do, is I invest in different cryptos to expect a different outcome. And I play that strategically to move towards a bigger, greater goal. And that's where strategy is incredibly important. And that's how, what I teach in terms of trading the stock market is defining this is a little nugget that'll change a lot of people. A lot of people look at the stock market and go, I've got a stock tip from so-and-so and looked into it. I met the CEO. And every time they say that I've met the CEO, I go, they've fallen in love with that share. Yeah. What I teach is this is look at the objectives of what a trader wants. There's 3 objectives. They either are looking to go for growth and invest in the long term. They are looking to hedge what they've got, or they are wanting to leverage. And that's getting into different derivative products that can do that. So what I say in terms of different stocks is the trader has to define what they want. Once they define what they want, they define what strategy will fit that objective. And then from there, they'll define which stock they'll invest in or trade to get that objective. It's a whole different kind of perspective from the person who is an investor who throws money into the market for the long-term growth. A trader mindset is very different. So this is what I mean by being strategic, is recognizing what does that particular asset do? How does it behave? What is it that I want as either an investor or a trader out of this?
That's the important thing. You're defining the difference, right?
Absolutely.
The investor and a trader are two very different mindsets.
Exactly. And so my approach to crypto is different from what I would do in the stock market, right?
Yeah.
I do a lot of it out of emergency preparedness after my bank accounts were frozen last year, in 2023. So, yeah.
So it's really funny that you say that, because on the political side of things, you've got to have family goals, what you want to achieve as a family, whether that's in real estate, work, tax minimization, all that sort of stuff. You've got to understand the system that you're actually in.
Of course.
So, and if you don't like that system, you've got to find a way to be able to get out of it. So what Derek is saying there is, when you decide what you want to do with your stock, with the investment side of things, you need to understand the system the area that you're playing in. And if you don't understand it, don't do it, because the risk to lose all your money is too great.
Property is no different, right?
Yeah.
The objective of a residential property is very different from a commercial property.
Spot on.
And you've got to know what that is.
And then you've got rural property over suburban property. Then you've got units over houses, strata versus normal, free tile.
Education. That's really what it comes down to.
And even different states have different regulations around what you can and can't do with property. So, for example, as of September last year, you've got to register your property if you want to have Airbnb, which that's something that caught us on the hoop, because we've just completed a granny flat. We don't put that up as Airbnb. No, can't do it. So we had to go find a long-term tenant for it instead. So we lost 40% return, potentially 40% returns Airbnb versus a long-term rental.
It's not like the government's changed the rules just on
without telling anyone. Love the Labor government.
Property, the risk is, if it's under a mortgage, that's huge. You started out this project, it takes a 1 or 2 year to complete. Government changes the legislation, so you've got to. It's managing risk as well, which is really incredible.
So it's
I hope that answers Damien's question.
Well,
sorry, one last thing, last one, just quickly as well, just going on to the property side of things. So with us, because we do own a bit of property, we've sold some of it off now. So our insurances not the premiums that just come in, the premiums before went up across the board 47% in WA. The one that we've just got now, we've increased our excess from $1,000 to $3,000. It's gone up 38%. Even with that sort of changes.
I love Australia.
Then,
I love Australia.
On top of that, it gets worse, because we have added the granny flat, and because the property market across the board in Australia has gone through the roof. Your rates are in WA determined by how much you can get as a rental value. In 2 years, our estimated rental value for our family home has doubled. So now our rates have also doubled on top of that. So I'm not talking mortgages here either, just to have a house. This not including maintenance, repairs, watering the garden, and all that sort of stuff. This is just the house is over $10,000 a year for us now.
$200 a week. And just a pure added crap. Right. Okay. There's nicer ways of saying it, but that's a pretty accurate way.
So this is why I'm saying it's really, really important that people have to understand the situation they're in. And if the government doesn't understand why people are struggling at the moment, even homeowners, this is why. And this is why I strongly believe that our residential markets, the mortgage industry and all that sort of stuff is going to get absolutely decimated in the next 3 to 5 years.
But the control too, the unbelievable.
People just walk away; they won't do it.
I'm looking into new areas too of opportunities in terms of lending and all that sort of stuff. Everything's about to change.
And you've just used a great word and great point again. Okay, this is not doom and gloom. This is opportunity, right? There's a lot of doom and gloom.
Huge opportunity.
But you need to shift, right?
And you've got to have the courage to say, right, I don't understand enough of this. I need to learn more. Get yourself educated. Talk to professionals in the field. You can't be an expert on everything. So find people like Derek, like Brandon, who do know all the different aspects of it.
I do education myself.
Yeah.
I'm doing an education. This weekend, I was improving my education by doing it, and I've invested in an education course in an area that I need help with.
I was improving my education on learning how long can I stay in a spa. The answer is 6.5 hours.
Wrinkles have wrinkles.
So, look, what's really interesting is Trump's relation to the BRICS nations.
Yes.
You could probably consider them a little bit
tentative.
Yeah, tentative. That's a good word. That's the word I was looking for. Then you've got the nations that are on their borders, Canada and, of course, Mexico.
Of course.
The big issue, of course, of the United States was all the illegal immigrants that have been coming across the border. And Trump's not happy about that, as you would be, because he's got now a massive deportation, which is going to cost the United States huge.
I mean, just to get the celebrities out.
I'm actually not so sure if it is actually going to cost them as much as what the actual act of deporting them is going to be expensive. But you have a look at how much money they have to spend dealing with the internally what they cost the country as a whole. I actually don't think the expense is that much.
I agree. They're going to be reducing their costs, but still, it's an expense. And what I'm trying to say here is that Canada and Mexico have very interesting relationships with the United States. So Canada's played this quite differently than how Mexico has, because, of course, Trump has threatened to put tariffs on there if they don't fix the border. I think it's 20%.
I've heard 20.
Yeah, 20% for both of them in terms of tariffs of what they import. Now, remember, Canada exports a lot of oil to the United States, so that's an interesting stuff.
I don't know why. Like, America's got huge amounts of oil fields.
Yeah, but why not use everybody else's before you use yours?
No. I know why. Because we had Biden who stopped it. Basically, is what it comes down to.
And now, quoting Trump, "Drill, baby, drill."
So you've got that, and the diplomacy between Canada and the United States has been interesting play out, because they've kind of gone the soft approach. Look at the benefits we've had. We're very loyal to you. I love the whole tweets and all that stuff of, Canada 51st state that Trump's been throwing.
The Mayor Trudeau.
I mean, yeah.
Well, and there are rumors. Honest, it is true, though.
And breaking stories is that there are rumors that Trudeau is going to be officially resigning very, very soon.
Today, hopefully.
Well, the story is Trudeau expected to announce resignation before National Caucus meeting Wednesday. So,
well, you're 2 days early.
Pretty close.
48 hours out.
Yeah.
Plus time difference. So,
look, he's a details kind of guy.
It's the glasses, I swear.
So on Thursday, we're going to be looking at this, reviewing this.
Oh dear.
Then you've got Mexico, and Mexico's kind of negotiation has been going, hey, Trump, you do this, you're going to disrupt a car manufacturing industry because GM is producing their cars over here across the border. Where does this put us? And by the way, you got a fentanyl issue because you've got internal issues.
Yep.
You need to address the social concerns. Why get rid of the consumer product here, and then we won't have an issue with drugs coming over the border and this sort of thing.
That's not exactly accurate.
No, but it's interesting to contrast the two different nations in terms of how they approach this.
I mean, honestly, I would love to be in a room with Trump and Trudeau. I really would. Right? Like, it's just like watching
chalk and cheese.
The alpha and the cuck. Right? Okay.
I can't say what I want to say.
Good.
Because
don't.
We've got you, and then we've got our Bible-loving.
He's a good man.
He's a very good man, and I don't want to hurt his innocent ears. No,
all right, okay.
I don't want to have to edit your thing out for the next 7 minutes of my life.
I've done really well so far this year.
You've been a good boy. You're on Santa's good list. So you were going to say something?
No, I think I'll leave it at that. Damo's put, what to do?
Trump is going to get rid of the cartels, I've heard. So one of the things was that he was going to imply even harsher tariffs onto Mexico unless they actually took actions themselves to reduce the amount of drugs coming across the border. So I actually don't mind it because, as Trump says, tariffs are a beautiful word. Tariffs, baby, tariffs. We're going to be rich. But anyway, I think the migration argument is, I think that people like the illegals are kind of stupid because there's so many ways to legally get into America. It's not funny.
No, I don't agree. I don't agree.
There is, because one of the two countries below Mexico, you got Panama.
Yeah.
And Panama has a thing called the Friendly Nation Visa, which means that you can gain entry into 140 countries without a visa.
Right. But if you want to become a citizen, okay, you're going to...
Why?
Well, people do.
If you're a PR of America, you still get all the benefits. You don't have to be an American citizen to get all the benefits. Okay. And then when you get part of the Friendly Nation visa things, you can just go straight into America and jump on the benefits anyway, legally.
Jeez.
I heard. Here's the unpopular conversation of crime. Right?
Yeah.
It is profitable for someone.
It is.
Now, if you pulled drugs completely out of the Australian market or economy, for a better word,
our economy would suck after that.
There would be a lot of money going out of it, and this is the problem, though. It's at someone else's cost. The mum or dad who lose their child to an overdose. And the social issues that all come with that, addiction and this sort of stuff. But that is the problem with crime, is that it has created its own economy.
Yeah.
So in the American situation, listen, there is money going across it. Somebody's profiting somewhere from migrants going into the US, but it's at the US cost. And so
I question about that. I think it might be, I think there's a lot of politicians in America who are facilitating this in Mexico. And I think they're through the back channels, they're making an insane amount of money.
I from the information that I've heard too, you make a very good point. I believe that there are public servants in the United States who are profiting from their enemies, which is treason, really.
Yeah, of course.
And don't
Well,
do
just
it.
well, in the Freedom Fridays one, so you guys get to watch this on Friday. I actually brought up the people who Biden had pardoned, and you have a look at the crimes that they've been convicted of and what he's pardoned, and you think, how the hell are they still alive?
Yeah.
So I genuinely believe, I think the big money earners from the illegal immigrants into America are actually certain people in American Congress, public servants. Just think about how much money bounty hunters are making hunting down these illegal immigrants that actually make crimes and things like that.
Fascinated to watch one local politician's net worth increase by 20% over the COVID years.
Just 20?
Yeah, that we could see or measure.
Well, our own.
But come on, you were talking, Derek, here. How easy is it to legally hide money?
So that's another show. But first,
What?
I watch Mark McGowan's net worth, right?
What you can legally see.
What you can legally see from the time where he took power to when he left, it went up 13 times. We're not talking about percent. It's gone up 13 times his net worth.
Percentage is 1,300%.
Correct.
So it's a good return.
I'm trying to get crypto.
That's better than crypto.
It is. It's crazy. So 13x, man. That's what it is.
To the moon. So in Mark McGowan's case, to Mumbai and back. So for people who aren't Australians, you probably don't get that. There's a mine site here. McGowan's now a consultant for, I think it's FMG. So he goes to Mumbai quite a lot to consult and gets paid a truckload of money. Talking of a Trump load of monay. Trump is going to get rid of. I've already done that one. Sorry, I thought it was a new quote.
It's a great point though, as far as what Tomo was saying about the cartels, though. I mean, if he can squash he's not obviously going to be able to cure the drug problem in the US, but I'll tell you right now,
you're just going to reduce it a bit.
If you could reduce it, exactly right.
So just going on the money side of things, I kind of like, and I think it was Arnold Schwarzenegger in California, by decriminalizing marijuana, it meant the American government got the tax revenue from the drug industry. Still a lot of social problems, and a lot of people call marijuana a gateway drug. I personally think it does less damage than what alcohol does. Okay. So
it's highly addictive, and this is
so is alcohol, so is cigarettes,
exactly.
so is codeine.
Well, my point is, we're not meant to be addicted to anything.
Yeah, we're
True
not
freedom
meant
is
to.
no addiction.
Yeah,
true freedom is no addiction, right?
Okay. No, that's a good point. Yeah.
10 points to that. You can tell who the slapper is, but anyway. But it's one of those things. I think of the two, like, you got to have a look at it. Alcohol next to marijuana, alcohol is way worse, but yet marijuana is the one that's illegal. So if you have a look at an antidepressant, MDMA, which is the active ingredient in ecstasy, is absolutely a phenomenal antidepressant with very, very limited side effects.
Okay,
but yeah, it's illegal in Australia.
They're starting to prescribe to people, because I've got someone in my life who needs a little bit of help in that department.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, there's all these, the problem, I think, with a lot of problems is, especially with ecstasy, it's not the MDMA that's the bad part about it. It's what they cut it with. Like, I'm hearing glass powder, rat poison. There's all these other, like, extremely bad chemicals.
But the problem we have is, if it's legalized, then we're more accepting of the addiction. If it's illegal.
That's Australia. We're accepting of drugs. So we do have this gem. So from Trump, no one can answer why we subsidize Canada to the tune of over 100 million a year. 100 million? Yeah, 100 million a year. Makes no sense. Many Canadians want Canada to become the 51st state. They would save massively on taxes and military protection. I think it's a great idea, 51st state. So a couple of things there. He's talking about saving on taxes. He reckons that Canadians would save 60% on their tax by becoming a part of America, and $100 million a year.
Is that 100 million? It is 100 million.
No, it's 100 billion.
No,
100 million.
Yep.
Okay. Well, you're the finance guy. How many zeros are there?
It's 100 million.
100 million. Okay.
Don't we give?
You need 9 zeros to become a billion.
Okay.
So Well, we got 3-0. No. So don't we Australia give out more money in foreign aid than that?
I don't know. I don't know the stats.
I don't know.
Australia's foreign aid.
We would
Just
no,
Iran alone would be
definitely.
20. I think it's $22 million in foreign aid just to Iran
Look,
alone.
Trump is stirring the pot.
Of course
right?
he is.
It's great
Of course
fun.
he is.
He's saying, 51st state, Canada. He's saying this about,
52nd
we
state,
need
Greenland.
to have Greenland. Right?
Yeah.
That would increase our security in the region. And I want the Panama Canal. Now, which one does he really want? Maybe Panama Canal.
I think so. I think so. But I'll tell you right now, I'm thinking of selling this lovely little bit of land. It's got a bridge, looks like a coat hanger on it, all that sort of thing. Trump, if you're interested.
He is a real estate guy.
He is, exactly right. Trump Towers in every state will be away. Look at that. All right. With that little bombshell, you happy with that little statement there, mate? You're good with that?
Yeah, I'm good.
Good. Let's end the show. Thank you very much for being part of the Greater Wealth here on Edge Radio Australia.